Welcome back, everyone. It's Draskyl here. Going to be doing another one of my own replay analysis. This time we're going to be talking about probably one of the most loved and/or hated heroes of any patch in the Anti-Mage. And this hero is very polarizing for a couple of reasons. One, he's played notoriously poorly, I would say, in a lot of games. And what I mean by that is you either pick him in a wrong situation, you don't make the correct items, you go to fights when you shouldn't, or, any multitude of things, right? So the reason why I wanted to do this hero guide, and this will probably be one of the only ones that I do until we see a big patch, is because this hero has not really changed a whole heck of a lot throughout the ages. Like, regardless of whether you play in 6.83, you're playing it now, you're playing it before, Anti-Mage has more or less stayed the same. So I want to make kind of a tutorial. Now, obviously, I'm not the absolute best Anti-Mage player in the world, but it is one of my most played, and I do enjoy him quite a bit. There are a couple of immediate tips that I will tell you about playing this hero that are going to make your life a heck of a lot easier whenever you're playing a pub game, whether it be with your friends, whether it be ranked. Remember to follow at least a few of these criteria if you want to play the hero. The first thing that you really want to keep out for is, can the enemy team push? So looking at the enemy team right now, I'm saying, okay, it's a Naga, most likely support. Wraith King, he's got skeletons, but he's mediocre. Their mid hero is a Zeus, right? And then they have Darkseer, Crystal Maiden. So I'm looking at not only their ability to kill creeps, but I'm looking at their ability to physically damage my towers. Do they have the ability of going high ground? Because high ground is the make or break in a lot of pub situations. So if you don't have a way to break my high ground, I feel a lot more confident picking an Anti-Mage into you, even if you might have some heroes that are directly good against me. For example, like a Bloodseeker. So Bloodseeker is really good against Anti-Mage, obviously because of Rupture, but the later the game goes, the worse Bloodseeker becomes against the hero. And he's also not fantastic at pushing high ground. So a lot of people would consider that hero a counter to Anti-Mage because he has Rupture, which is true, but you can play around that. What you can't play around is getting pushed in 25 minutes or 20 minutes after having a bad laning phase and not having your items. That's when the game just ends, right? So when I say make sure the enemy team can't push you or high ground, is try to make sure there's only one, maybe two heroes that have siege potential, and if you're confident in your AM play, you could probably still deal with that. This game we got really lucky. This game they only had pretty much the Wraith King, and the Naga ends up playing support, so I don't have to worry about them pushing my buildings that fast. The other thing is, how bad is my lane going to be? Sometimes you can have an Anti-Mage game, and you can walk to the lane, and you can more or less just free farm. And sometimes that'll happen, sometimes it won't. This game, I think I was against Naga Darkseer, which is not really that easy of a lane, especially considering my support is a Lich. So the Lich is going to keep the lane controlled, but the problem is we're against a Darkseer. So the Darkseer wants the lane to be pushed in anyway. So you'll see, after we start the replay, that there are going to be a couple of issues that I run into while trying to farm. And eventually I'll be able to, hopefully overcome them and the game will go well. But those two things are really big. The third one, and probably, maybe even the most important one, is do not go to fights if you are even remotely questioning your ability to contribute. Just don't go to fights. You'll get pinged. People will be mad that you're not TPing to stuff, even if your teammates are getting dove. But in my experience, Anti-Mage players who are at the very, very top level, they will TP, but that's only because they know the absolute limitations of their hero. If you are not a top 200 player, just don't TP. Just keep farming your items, because what's going to end up happening is you're going to make the wrong TP one or two times, and you're going to die, or you're going to not be able to farm, and you're going to lose item progression. And what happens is if you don't have Battle Fury Manta or Battle Fury Manta plus one extra item at a certain time in the game, your hero still can't fight. It can't contribute. And your team needs you to be able to come to those fights as soon as humanly possible, or be creating space on the map by side laning, which is another video on the channel if you guys haven't checked it out already. So those are the big three. Make sure the enemy team can't push you that hard. How tough is my lane? And make sure that you get your items before you're really starting to try to fight. If you do all of those things, and you've hit all of those check marks, Your AM game is going to be a hell of a lot better than normal, I promise you. So, with all that being said, this is probably the longest intro to a video that we've had so far. We're going to go ahead and start the replay. Again, this is from my perspective. We'll just keep the overlay on there for a second. And again, this isn't even the best lane for me personally. There could be a lot better lane matchups for you, but maybe there's some hero in another lane that is really good against your hero, or maybe there's some like Death Prophet or Pugna or some other hero that's, you know, able to push. So the game starts off and you notice that I'm taking a lot of damage. I was trying to mana burn the Darkseer as much as possible, but you can already see, like, this trade didn't really favor me because I gave up a lot of health to trade for mana. And these starting items, I would say any safe lane hero would pretty much buy these. When you think your lane's going to be even moderately difficult, just bring more regen. That's all you have to do. This patch is very heavily predicated around how much regen do I have versus how much regen does the other guy have. If you have more, you trade. If you don't have more, you have to play defensive. And obviously in a lot of games you're not going to want to play defensive because you want to try to get that farm and you want to win your lane. And this is a little bit of a awkward situation I've gotten myself into. But you can see I'm being pretty heavily pressured here. The only good part about this is that the lane is going to be pretty much under my tower the entire time. There's a double wave here, so we're a little bit like concerned about trying to walk up and hit. So we're going to abuse creep pulling just by right-clicking on the enemy, pull the creeps back a bit, and just CS that way. But you'll notice, like, I'm not really getting that much farm. It's not amazing. The important part is that since I know the enemy team can't push, I'm okay with my lane not being amazing. If my lane isn't great, that's fine, because they can't end the game. So that's why those two criteria are important. If you're struggling in lane, and the enemy team can push, that's when you get like stomped in 20 to 25 minutes and you get reported 4 times because people say, why do you pick anti-mage? So you can see I'm pretty much just out of regen here. And I told my mid player I was going to be taking the courier because my lane was really hard. I probably could have gone for an extra auto there, but I was playing it super safe. I didn't want to take even the smallest risk because my lane was already not going super well. And I ferried myself 2 salves to make sure that I can stay in the lane. I do want a fair amount of EXP.
You've just achieved first blood. Thanks.
So at this point, we're just trying to get to our Quelling Blade. Eventually going to get to that Ring of Health. That's going to be a tremendous help in this lane. And again, my CS is not good. Like 7 creep or 8 creep kills at 2 minutes is, ooh. That's being heavily pressured in the lane. You could probably have twice this in a free farm lane. Maybe even more than twice this, actually. But it's a struggle. You know, some lanes are going to be like this. Sometimes they're going to be an anti-mage and your support's not going to be able to help you win the lane that hard. Now again, the one benefit of Lich is that I don't have to worry about the lane really getting shoved out that far. Because that's when stuff gets real sketchy. When you're losing the lane like this and the enemy team can control the wave, that's when you're really scared. Because you don't really want to walk up to the wave. So this guy's like trading with me. I'm not really sure why he's hitting me. But the Frost Armor comes in huge here. Allows me to trade effectively against physical damage. Like normally Naga has a base armor advantage over Anti-Mage. And once the Naga's out of mana, you actually take favorable trades. Because he's not dealing bonus damage to you via the mana break. So because I have the Ice Armor now, even when he's out of mana, I can still trade. And that's another really big tip when you're playing Anti-Mage. If we pause right here, and we just take a peek. So the Darkseer still has some mana, but this guy is like pretty much out, right? So if I keep one of them out of mana, that means that I'm not going to be harassed that heavily. Because all the harassment that's going to be coming out from them is going to be either through auto attacks, which again, I have Ice Armor, so I don't really care about that. And it's going to be magic damage, which is going to come from either Ion Shell or Riptide. So if he can't cast Riptide and Net, I'm pretty much not in any danger of dying at all. So whenever you can, being able to trade like auto attacks, like hitting this guy would be good because I'm getting efficiency out of my mana break. Hitting this guy is fine as long as I only hit him like 1 or 2 times. But whenever you're playing Anti-Mage, one of your biggest concerns is, you know, try to check the enemy team's mana. So that was a dual-purpose aggressive play there. The first thing that I noticed is that we had 2 range creeps, so me playing aggressive is very unlikely to push the lane. And the second one is I needed a Quelling Blade because I'm against 2 melee, and I want to make sure that I can last hit effectively. Quelling Blade is not a crutch. If you are playing against people who are equal skill, Quelling Blade on a melee hero is kind of like a must-have. There's no reason to not give yourself a base damage advantage when you're CSing, it's just silly. I know there are people out there who secretly think that, oh, you don't need a Quelling Blade, you can just walk to the lane. It's completely false, just buy the Quelling Blade. It is absolutely mandatory if you are laning and getting pressured even a little bit. And even if you're not being pressured, I would still buy one.
Regeneration.
So this guy's got the double shell going. We're a little scared. We're playing back. We're trying not to take any needless damage. I see him auto-attacking there, so I go back up to get the last hit. Take a bit of damage for it. He gets it an eye in the melee instead, so... But you can see my farm's still not great. Like, I'm only 23 CS, 5 minutes. That's not even 5 CS a minute. The important part about this game happens essentially after the laning phase breaks down. So what I wanted to show in this replay is, even if your lane isn't great, if you pick anti-mage under the right circumstances, it doesn't matter if your lane's bad, as long as the enemy team can't punish you. The other thing to note about this being an anti-mage game is that I'm pretty hard for them to kill in a side lane. So they have like Net, they have Wraith King Stun, and they have the CM Frostbite. Those are the ways that they can kill me, right? So the cool thing about being a hero that goes Manta second item is that not a single one of those spells threatens me after I get Manta style. Which also goes in line with the whole make sure you have the right items before you start going to fights. If I have Battle Fury Manta at like, let's say 25 minutes, which isn't even fast, right? 25 minutes is like, that's a couple minutes late if you're having a good game. If I have those 2 items, not a single one of the heroes on the enemy team can kill me unless they throw multiple spells at me, right? So that means I can sit in a side lane with impunity. I don't care about anyone on that team even a little bit. And to be honest, if they don't bring multiple heroes, I could just straight up kill them. So our lane's kind of slowed down a bit. The heroes in our lane have left. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit because there's a lot of static farming here. And we don't really need to talk a whole heck of a lot about it. We're basically just going to keep hitting creeps. This guy's like trying to pressure us a bit. You just saw that. But I have my Ring of Health now. And I have a couple of mangoes in my inventory. So I'm rocking 9 health regen. 9 health regen is more than enough to sustain this situation. The other thing I do this game is I do buy treads. I would say it's a bad habit to buy Naked Battle Fury most of the time, because the treads are going to give you enough lane presence to where they're going to make up for the fact that your Battle Fury is going to be later, because they're going to CS more efficiently, you can kill jungle camps more efficiently, you can trade with the enemy offlaner, you can punish him. So in my experience, skipping treads on a hero like Anti-Mage is most of the time a mistake. So I was kind of pooling a bit of gold here, and I was thinking to myself, do I want to just go straight Battle Fury? Because that seems pretty greedy. And then I decided to just go for the treads, because now I go from having basically 0 kill potential to I can definitely get a kill if this guy makes a mistake. You know, I even have Mana Void as well, so I blink on this guy. He's got low mana. He eats a Mana Void to the face, and he basically just dies. So, buy your treads, boys. Always buy your treads. You can get the Ring of Health first. You can even buy boots if you want before you finish the Ring of Health. Some people do that, but for me personally, it's always about get the Ring of Health, get the treads, then you can work on your Battle Fury. So this guy comes back over here, but his friend's there, so I'm kind of thinking to myself, I don't know if I really want to fight, but we get a nice Chain Frost. And we get the kill on the Crystal Maiden. So my Mana Void comes back off cooldown. I got a Mango. Another easy kill because the Darkseer keeps blowing his entire mana pool. To be fair, he probably could have played that better and gotten the kill on the Nature's Prophet, but we'll take the Mana Void kill. So now we're auto-attacking a bit. We got a cart wave, trying to pressure the lane. And right now, it's looking alright, you know? We had like 23 CS of 5 minutes, now it's 11 minutes, and we have 70. Plus we have a couple of kills. I think we have 2 at this point. Oh, we're actually 3 and 0. So our start wasn't phenomenal, but like the end of the laning phase, when we started fighting and after I got Mana Void, is when I really started to take off. Now in this game, I was laning against an intelligence offlane hero who buys arcane boots. That's a wet dream for an anti-mage. You want someone with a large mana pool in your lane, because it means that not only is Mana Void more effective, but anytime you even just right-click the guy, it's going to be more effective. So that guy throws at the Chain Frost. I was thinking about trading with the Darkseer, but I don't want to run into the wall. The wall is the one thing about Darkseer that makes anti-mage skittish. Because that thing is going to mana burn you, and it's going to have all the stats that you have, basically. So it's very, very dangerous to fight into that. So my Lich comes back, he earns me. I even send out an extra set of tangos, just because. Alright, so I get ganked here. They pop the song. I was actually thinking about like trying to blink in for a Mana Void. And I end up coming back in at the last second and getting a 3-man there. But I was checking the Zeus mana to make sure that the target that I was going for was going to be like a good target, obviously. That's one of the best habits you can be in as an anti-mage player, is that if you're going to Mana Void someone, click on them first. Don't assume. Assuming that they're low on mana, and I think I actually do this once this game, I assume that the guy doesn't have mana, and it literally just backfires. So, whenever you're playing anti-mage, you want a Mana Void, click on the hero first. Always. So I get my Battle Fury. I'm farming out the jungle. I'm going to make my way back to the lane. I should be occupying the lane a bit more right now. I think actually farming the jungle camps there was not the correct thing to do. Okay, so we're getting our tower siege on. I eat a net here, and as soon as that guy drops the wall, I kind of have to peace out. I can't really stick around and fight inside the wall with the illusion hitting me. That's the one way I can die in this game, is if I get killed by that. So you'll notice one thing that happens immediately, right? A lot of heroes are congregating in my lane. There's a Darkseer down here. He's dropped a wall. There's a Zeus. There's a Crystal Maiden. There's a friggin' Darkseer as well. I don't really want to be where the majority of the enemy heroes are. So my first plan of action when I'm playing an anti-mage is I want to be in a side lane most of the time. These guys are all down here. Sure, this guy's a Mana Void target. He actually has 77 mana. If I had been paying more attention, maybe I get a kill on this guy. I think he actually just dies to a level 2 Mana Void just straight up. So that's like a small mistake. I could have killed him and then TP'd, right? But besides that, the main purpose of this is I see a lane push into my tower, and there's no one here. So everyone else goes to where I am to try to like fight and help my lane, which is fine, because my Legion's pretty strong right now. My Nature's Prophet's here, and I'm feeling like, you know, they're not really going to lose the tower, but I don't want this lane being pushed and the Wraith King potentially taking an objective just because like there's actually just no one here. So, I TP top. We're going to farm it out. I'm not really looking to take any sort of fight unless I am 100% certain in my ability to win it. So my Battle Fury regen's doing work for me right now, getting some health back. The Wraith King is not really showing on the map, but at the same time, I'm not super scared. He does have a stun, but hey there, he's bottom, right? So whatever. He goes bottom to push, I'm top to push, and we end up trading. Now this is another important aspect of anti-mage right here. This is the trade, okay? One of the main reasons why I say you don't want to TP to fights when you don't have the right items is because you can't fight without certainty that you're going to live unless you have a Manta style in this game in particular, right? Now most games that's going to be the case. You're going to want Battle Fury Manta before you even contemplate showing up at a fight. So because I make this play, the enemy team doesn't like defend their tower at all. They let it die. I get a tier 1 for free. And the Wraith King showed bottom and hit my tower a bit. But first off, I can't be there because my TP is on cooldown anyway. But even if I was, I would be under pressure, right? Anti-Mage farms fast. That's the whole premise of the hero, is that I want to get a lot of items quickly so that I can win the game by just having a higher net worth than anyone else on the enemy team. That is how Anti-Mage plays the game. If I am sitting in a lane with another hero on the enemy team, I am not abusing my Battle Fury and my Blink mobility. I want to do both of those things. I want to push the lane fast because I got a Battle Fury. I want to blink from camp to camp because I got mana regen from the Battle Fury. So I don't want to ever be just sitting in a lane and like staticking it after I get this item. That's the opposite of what an Anti-Mage wants. So whenever you see someone's pressuring and you have like this setup, you just got your treads, you got your Battle Fury, most of the time it's not going to be good for you to try to fight. Swap it over to the net worth real quick. But you can see, like, I'm already the highest net worth in the game by about 2,200. So that's basically my Yasha net worth, like, on top of everyone else. And this is something else that we learned from the side laning video that I also have on my YouTube channel, is that as soon as I push that lane, the enemy team reacts. And when the enemy team reacts, I'm actually creating space as an anti-mage. And this is a common misconception of the hero, that anti-mage needs a lot of space to work. That is technically true, but a good anti-mage player is going to get that space on the other side of the map. He's going to get that space where the enemy is, and not where your allies are. So I TP to this fight. Ends up working out. Let's rewind really quick so we can talk about the thought process here. Alright, so we're going to play at normal speed. I'm pushing out the wave. And I know, like, at this point, I have two choices, right? I'm at the tower. I can push this tower. I can TP. Or I can just farm the jungle. So let's go over, like, each choice, what the pros and cons are. Number one, if I push this tower, I will most likely force a reaction. Like, that's just gonna happen, right? So I guess the Naga was coming up here. Maybe the Zeus TPs, maybe the Darkseer TPs. Any number of heroes could TP. But the main reason I TP here is because I saw, or I end up seeing someone else showing on the map, right? And I see this guy's just sitting at half HP, like walking into my tower. So he's running into one of my towers when I already have heroes here to defend. So I see that. I'm like, I don't want this tier 1 to die. He throws out the Chain Frost, gets the first kill. We have a Nature's Prophet TP, so we're going to have 3 against 1, and this guy is basically under a tower right now. I actually didn't want to have to commit Mana Void for that, but ended up having to, so it's a little bit unfortunate. But there's quite a few heroes here, so what do? I just get out. I know the tower is low, but I don't really care that the tower is low. The only thing that I care about right now is getting my item. And sure, the tower is going to give me gold, but their core is dead, right? And I'm already back in a side lane pressuring, so no matter what happens in this fight, I don't care about it. I just want to be up here. And fortunately, my team actually does well. So this one kind of worked out. But let's say even if they do lose the fight mid, I'm still in the side lane, right? So we end up losing our Lich player, but we get the tower anyway because it had no health. And I'm like taking looks down there just seeing, you know, hey, do I want to be there? But look, I just get a tier 2 for free. And the tier 1 died anyway. So sometimes things are going to work out like that. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes your team is going to die and you're going to get rage pinged. And what I say to that is, mute him. Just mute him. Because first off, all that's going to happen is you're going to end up getting tilted. So this is the one time in the game where I actually mana void someone and I didn't check their mana. So let me talk to you a little bit about why I did that. I saw a fight mid. I saw a tower die. I saw a Darkseer wall placed. In my mind, I'm thinking, how is it possible that this guy is at full mana? And he was at full mana because I didn't follow my own rule. I didn't click on the hero. Had I clicked on him first, there is no way I would have mana voided him. And I think I end up living here, but my Nature's Prophet dies because I did that, right? So that was a mistake. Shouldn't have done that. But so far, things are going well. We've gotten, what, 4,000 net worth above the Wraith King now? Our Manta's pretty much finished. We're feeling really good about our item timing. It's 20 minutes in. We got Battle Fury Manta. That's not as good as it gets, but it's close. I would say you can get it at 18, 19 if you're having an absolutely phenomenal game. But that's about the fastest it's ever going to get. So now, I have the two items that I care about the most. I have the Manta Style and I have the Battle Fury. This is the point in the game where my hero can start contributing. And the main reason is, I can disjoint a net, I can disjoint a Wraithfire Blast, I can dispel myself from being frostbitten. Well, actually, you can technically dispel the Ensnare too. But all the things that used to kill me are no longer going to kill me as long as I'm patient with my item usage. You can see how aggressively I blink in there. I'm just like, I don't care about anything the enemy team is going to throw at me anymore. It makes no difference one way or the other because I will be able to get out. So there's two ideologies when you have the Manta. Some players will pop the Manta and just use it to push the lanes. I prefer to use it to either fight or I use it to escape. Like, those are my preferred methods. Now, there isn't a right or a wrong, and obviously you should do both. If you're like playing at a very high level, you should use it to split push when you can. And then sometimes you're going to want to keep it up. Like, for instance, if you're hitting a tower and no one's showing on the map, you don't actually want to use it because what happens if someone jumps on you from fog, right? And then your Manta style's down. So there's pros and cons of both playstyles. And again, I'm just hitting towers, forcing people back. This guy TP's in. I'm like, your team isn't here, dude. My Manta is actually not even targeting that guy. Just definitely a mistake. But at this point, you know, things seem pretty grim for the enemy team. And you'll notice, we've only lost one tower up until this point.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Now my next item, and this is again, I think it's one of the most important items in the progression, is we're going to go for the Basher and to the eventual Abyssal Blade. And the reason why this is really important is that when you have Battle Fury Manta, you can't really die to a team like this anymore. But what can happen is the enemy team can run away from you because you don't have any way of locking them down. So the ideal situation for an anti-mage is that you're hitting someone who is stunned with your Manta and with your hero, and you burn so much mana with a combination of skills that your Mana Void does a ton of damage, and that's what you use to get the kill. The Abyssal Blade gives you the last piece of that puzzle. And not only does it give you that last piece of the puzzle, but it gives you a huge amount of survivability as well because it takes a Vanguard to make. So this is I would say one of the most like stock standard builds for anti-mage that you can possibly go. Now sometimes you're going to watch high-level players, like top 500, top 200, and they're going to go like Manta first, stuff like that. So I think that that build is also acceptable, but again, those players are very, very skilled on the hero, and they understand their timings, and they understand what they're trying to do for their team. If I'm like anywhere below that, just going this build is fine. You don't have to like force yourself into going Yasha because you saw some top 200 anti-mage do it. Like he would go Treads, Aquila, Yasha. And again, there's nothing wrong with that build, but it's harder to play, and it requires a better understanding of what the hero is supposed to be doing in the game. This is kind of like the very standard at all brackets anti-mage that's going to have a huge amount of success if you just follow this stuff in this video. So the Wraith King's up here. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, you know, I got a Basher. This guy doesn't have his level 20 yet, which means he still relies on mana to reincarnate. But as soon as I see that wall, I don't really want to be there anymore. That wall is the one ability that scares me on the enemy team even at this point. 24 minutes in, I don't want to be anywhere near a Darkseer wall. No way. So I think I was still being followed there, so I blink out of the camp a bit early, and yeah, the DS was behind me. Or at least maybe it was an illusion. Yeah, I think it was just an illusion, right? But anyway, we're not fighting. Like, I saw the Darkseer wall placed. I was Naga slept. I didn't have any intention of being in that engagement. Maybe I get a kill. Maybe I don't. I don't know. But what I do know is that by living, I can continue playing my anti-mage game, which is acquire items quickly. Again, 50... Well, let's say 5,000 gold above the Wraith King right now. Still feeling pretty good about ourselves. This guy shows on the creep wave. We're looking for a bash. We Manta the ensnare cast, and he explodes because he has a large mana pool. So I didn't actually know that they had a Hex until just now. So that's good information for me. That's the first time I got Hex the entire game. Could have been worse. The Hex reveal can actually kill an anti-mage in a lot of cases. Didn't kill me here, though. So I'm pretty happy about that. So we're really close to our Abyssal Blade. Next things on the list, objective-wise, are going to be... Alright, maybe I want a Butterfly, maybe I want a BKB, because Darkseer Wall is still a huge pain in my butt, and I really need to not get mana burn. That's the... like, if you guys want to know the real counter to Anti-Mage, make illusions of the Anti-Mage. Heroes like Darkseer, Shadow Demon, even Morphling, those heroes make Anti-Mage very, very sad. Like, very, very sad. Shadow Demon is probably the absolute worst to play against.
Hello, this is Gabe Newell. Thanks for playing Dota 2.
Yeah, Terrorblade can be good as well.
Mega kill. Double kill.
So I'm just hitting this guy because I know, again, he doesn't have his level 20, which means he's gonna die because he can't reincarnate. So that's my Abyssal Gold, but I'm really low on mana at the moment. So when I don't have mana, my escape ability is no longer useful. I ferry some Clarities out, trying to sustain mana. I don't believe I kill Roshan here, but I do want to. Maybe I do. This game actually happened a few days ago, so I'm a bit fuzzy on the details. But still, you know, we're just playing our farm game. Now, there's a couple of mistakes I make during this game, some of which are going to happen in the near future, where my itemization is actually not ideal. The only thing I need at this point to finish the game is a BKB. That's it. I'm playing it greedy by going for Butterfly. This choice ends up making the game last another probably 10 to 15 minutes when it didn't have to. Didn't have to go this long. So they come into the Roche Pit, I Manta on this guy, and then I get Hexed, and then I end up dying because I get mana burned. So I tried to mana void him a little bit sooner. And the other thing too is because I just ended up buying my item, I don't have buyback. If I had buyback here, I would have bought back like drop of a hat, I would have been right back in there because we're fighting for Roche, right? But I don't have the gold. I'm 500 gold short. So we're dead for a while. That's a big mistake. This Roshan basically lets the enemy team back into the game. Let's get it on 16 so we can respawn here. Okay. So, enemy team kills Roche. ITP across the map from where they are. I'm looking to pressure a side lane here. I do not want the enemy team getting to our base with the Aegis. That's my primary concern. I should actually be showing bottom right now, but there's a lot of heroes off map, so I'm a little skittish. And truthfully, buying this talisman is also kind of a mistake, because if I die again, if I die again and I don't have buyback, then it could actually just be the end of the game. So that little Roshan fight ended up giving the Wraith King like an Aegis and a full item, more or less. Because he was around 11k net worth when we fought at the Roche Pit, now he's at almost 15,000. Really big mistake. Should have just bought BKB. The great thing about BKB this game is that even though we already have Manta, it makes me immune to the one thing besides, you know, getting crowd control that can actually kill me. And that's the mana burn from the Darkseer. And plus he has a Hex. So we're still not in like a huge amount of trouble because the enemy team isn't pressuring. But we find the Wraith King up here. He's level 22 now, so he does have the no mana cost talent. And after we get that one kill, I'm no longer really looking to go super hard. I see them song. I'm gonna wait and push the wave out a bit. And yeah, see how they're like fully stacked up on top of us with the wall down? That's something that I cannot fight. There's no way.
Killing spree.
Dire's bottom
Ownage.
tower.
And that fight was just awful for us. Now, I didn't die, so it's not like super bad because I can push out a lane at least. And to be honest, I should be making my way back towards top, but since I'm already mid anyway, I might as well. So that guy jumps me, and I wasn't really looking at my map because if I had been, I'd probably just kill that guy. But again, playing it safe. Making our way back towards the top lane. Just being annoying to the Wraith King, burning all his mana and stuff so he can't blink stun. And it kind of goes on for like this for a little while, so we're going to fast forward towards something that actually happens. And all I'm really looking to do here is just try to keep the enemy team from getting to our base with everything. And this is another bad blink by me. I get like insta-hexed. I go on the back here. I actually popped my Manta too early. And then I end up getting screwed over by the CM's Glimmer because I don't have detection.
Mega kill. Ownage.
So another fight that wasn't really like... It wasn't a good fight at all.
I guess. Ownage.
And I really need to use this clarity that I just haven't used yet. But I think I go to well first. Okay. So a couple of fights in a row that didn't really go too well. We're going to heal up here.
Radiant's middle tower is falling.
Now I TP'd and just immediately realized my mistake. And I'm like, oh geez, I can't actually TP there. And I have to run all the way back to
Killing
base.
spree. Ownage.
So I get the Abyssal Blade on the DS. That's probably like the absolute best hero that I can hit.
Double kill.
Getting the Abyssal on him makes it so I can't get hexed, basically. And this is the fight that kind of brings us back. I get the 3 kills.
Thou art pure.
Feels pretty good. Got my butterfly money now. But yeah, the TP was a bad TP. As soon as that TP finished, I was like, oh my god, what did I do? Alright, so I got my Abyssal in a couple of seconds here. Yeah, this guy just ends up getting bashed, I think, and dies.
Dominating performance.
I didn't have Mana Void, but still more than enough to get the kill. Enemy team has a bunch of buybacks. We're going to force many of them right here.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
So I'm just hitting the tower, got my Abyssal Blade, got my Butterfly. Tower doesn't really do any damage to me. My Manta's up in 4 seconds, so I know if they do jump me, unless I get hexed, I'm probably going to be fine. And that guy just walks into me, I immediately Manta style.
Dire's top tower is falling. Dire's top tower is under attack.
So the DS is alive, which is a scary hero for me. We do get the set of racks though, and I'm able to just walk away. So my Pango gets songed top. I should be hitting the tier 3 a bit.
Is under attack.
Maybe like even like 3 or 4 attacks. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but just getting that chip damage on the tower is always going to be very, very helpful. Because those things don't regen, so you get damage on them, that's damage is going to be there for the entire game. But for the most part, I've been following my AM mantra, which is just get the items that you want before you try to go to a team fight. Now, I have BKB here. I should be a bit more aggressive. So we find our kill. Just see this anti-mage illusion is actually insanely strong. So I pop the shrine to make sure that I have some mana. And we're just gonna go back to pushing out lanes. But I have more or less everything that I need now. Like my itemization, if the game goes on any longer, it's actually bad for me. And this is another really big point when you're talking about anti-mage, is that since the nature of your hero is to just farm faster than everyone else, you obviously get, you know, you're 6 slotted before everyone, which sounds good, but the issue becomes you need to start replacing stuff the later the game goes, and eventually you're going to want to start to think about dropping Battle Fury. But when you drop Battle Fury, you don't push lanes very well anymore, so it becomes this kind of weird... My hero doesn't really have any scaling abilities, it's just that I have so many items that they can't stop me. So if the game goes longer than like 40-45 minutes, Anti-Mage is actually not a really good hero. There are plenty of other cores that will be able to do much, much more than he can. So this is basically when we want the game to end. We kill the Wraith King, we know he doesn't have buyback. We got lots of net worth. Feeling like an anti-mage game to me. This is about as far as I want the game to go. So this is like an annoying combo that they keep doing to me. This guy even bought a nullifier. Like this Darkseer went all out in stopping me from being able to do what I want to do in a game. So I see that the Darkseer wall is there. I just transfer to another lane. As long as I'm not getting hit by my wall illusion, I don't really care about what else happens to me. So they got the AoE surge. I turn around and get a nice bash on the Naga after using Manta on the net. But again, I'm like out of mana, so this is like... It's not great for me. Darkseer, not the greatest laning hero against an anti-mage, but it is definitely very annoying during the mid-late game.
Dire's bottom shrine has fallen.
But in my mind right now, I'm thinking, I don't want this game really to go on that much longer. I would really like it to just be over. Gonna use the shrine for some mana. Roshan's back up. Yeah, I should have been more active with my clarities, for sure. Should have had a lot more clarities this game. But for now, we still have a pretty significant lead. Like, from a net worth standpoint, we're 10k ahead, but realistically, that's basically just my net worth. Alright, so I'm gonna have to BKB out of this. I saw the Darkseer out on the edge of the pit. We get a bash on him, we kill him. I accidentally blinked into the wall, though, which wasn't really the best. But you can see a consistent theme when I'm fighting is I'm always going for the Darkseer first because he's the main threat to me. I don't have a counterplay to the Hex other than just popping my BKB. But if the Darkseer is dead, I'm feeling pretty happy about my situation. So every time I see that Darkseer, I'm going to Blink Abyssal him and I'm going to Mana Void him. Just, that's how I have to play it. So the Zeus buys back, but I don't really care. I don't take any damage from this guy, more or less. And he kind of, like, walks at me. I should have just butterflied and abyssaled him. Probably would have died. But it doesn't really end up mattering too much either way, because I think I end up getting the set. Wraith King's alive, but even that guy can't kill me right now. He has to get very lucky. He has to basically manage to get away from 3 heroes in order to kill me. So that's what my team's doing right now. They're actually just fighting the Wraith King 3-on-1 top. But there's no way he can TP, so... This is basically the end of the game. They get Mega'd, and the game does stretch out for a little bit longer, but as soon as the enemy team gets Mega'd, it's kind of like there's very few hero compositions that can win against Megas. And in order for that to happen, there has to be like a tremendous misplay from, let's say, my team in the situation, or even maybe more than one. But yeah, this guy comes in again. He's already used his Hex, so I'm going to have to BKB this Meteor Hammer. But you can see every time it's the same, right? Like, they know how they have to kill me, but the BKB prevents the Naga Song from being able to combo me. So normally what would happen if I didn't have BKB is I would get Meteor Hammer stunned, then I would get Hexed, and that entire time I would be getting hit by my own illusion, right? And by the time I come out, even if I'm still alive, I have absolutely no mana. And that means I'm dead, because I can't Manta out of the net. So that's like an additional CC that would hit me because I just don't have any mana left, which is why BKB this game is mandatory. So, we're kind of farming it out here. I'm going to go ahead and just pause the replay here because it's 42 minutes in. The enemy team is Mega'd. This game goes on for quite a bit longer. But the fact of the matter is, as soon as we Mega'd, then the game was done. Like, they don't come back, we win. Spoiler alert, etc. But this is a very loose kind of my way of playing anti-mage guide. I know that like the very high level anti-mage players do things a little differently. That's okay. This is going to work. I think right now as I'm making this video, I think I'm like Divine 5 something. I don't really play ranked that much, but this is my way of playing the anti-mage, how I like to itemize, how I make my decisions. Hope you guys enjoyed the video very much. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below or just hit me up on Twitch. It's at Draskyl, D-R-A-S-K-Y-L. You can follow me on Twitter as well, Draskyl Dota 2, T-W-O, not the number. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching.